Good evening, YouTube. It is late evening here in the great state of Texas. 2 weeks ago, when I did this project, it was about 88 degrees in the workshop, and it wasn't even 1 in the afternoon yet. But it's mid-July here in Texas, and West Texas has a very dry heat. So getting into the workshop to actually make something is a feat all by itself. But our last wood blank that we have is Purple Heart. 2 weeks ago, I ended up making a Purple Heart bowl. Nothing too complicated, and this video is pretty much going to be more the same, but we're going to do a little bit of a lid with it. So we're going to have a little bit of issues here in just a little bit, but we'll get to that when we cross that bridge. But getting everything onto the lathe, everything is glued up. Really excited about just getting this last piece done. And last week before, I made a table, so I think I'm going to start doing a lot more tables on the channel than bowl making. And I know I have not worked with epoxy yet this entire year, and I need to get on it because we're already almost done with July, even though it's going to stay hot up until about October in Texas. So we have plenty of time to work with epoxy. But, just getting these wood blanks dealt with and made are pretty much the priority, because as I said earlier, I'm going to start making a lot more tables on the channel, and it's all woodworking, and the channel is just primarily woodworking anyway. So it'll all go with the theme. But getting this piece of Purple Heart, nice cylindrical shape, really, easy up until this point. Just adjusting the banjo, gonna make a mortise, get it flipped over, and then we're gonna, make a cool little dish out of it. So here we are, just making my mortise, no issues here whatsoever. Once you've kind of done this a million times, you kind of get used to the entire project. But this goes really smooth, no issues whatsoever, sizing up the chuck, and then we get it reversed, and then we'll start turning down this piece of pine, which working with the pine is compared to working with the Purple Heart is a lot different, because the Purple Heart is a very hard, dense wood. If you guys have never worked with it before, imagine just a really hard piece of wood. That's essentially what it kind of feels like, because you can feel the vibrations on the chisels no matter how sharp they are, but it's a very dense, hard wood to work with. But you get that piece of pine done, and we got our nice little bowl shape. And here I am just debating whether or not I was going to make a lid. And I just decided, since this was the last piece of Purple Heart that I'm going to be working with for a little bit, just decided to go ahead and, try to make a lid out of it. And here I am just gauging up the mortise for what we're going to do here in just a little bit, and getting the edges of it clean so we can start the parting process. And this is probably one of the worst, most difficult things I've had to do. And this parting tool kept on catching. I had to start and stop the lathe a couple of times. You can see the smoke billowing up from this because there's so much friction there. And I even cuss a little bit, and I sound like a VCR going really fast with the little squeaking in my voice. But this is a big reason why I didn't want to do a mortise or do a lid, because I just knew I was going to have so many problems trying to make trying to get these pieces separated, essentially. But eventually we do. That took a lot longer than I wanted to, and now we're just working out the gouging portion for what would be the actual bowl itself. And you can see here, this is very small, shallow little dish. There's not even a lot of material left to kind of work with, which was disappointing, because the wood, working with Purple Heart, looks really cool, but sometimes when you're just doing these projects, they just don't kind of turn out the way that you want. And I didn't want to punch all the way down through the mortise into the chuck, so I just, stopped and started the lid more times than I needed to. I just wanted to be sure that there was going to be something to show for this project, and not trying to ruin it by going too deep with the gouging there. But eventually we get everything nice and cylindrical, everything's in a nice shape that we want, and now I can start working on the lid portion of it here. And I should have ended up using this as the bowl rather than the lid, but choices were made, and it is what it is at this point. So here I am just getting everything into a nice cylindrical shape. We're going to start gouging for the edges, and then we're just going to size up how big this lid is going to be. But here we are, stopping and starting the lathe, and then we're just going to do this a couple more times, and then we're like, boom, got it on the second try. And now we're just going to form what will eventually be the dome of this lid, and just working off the material. You guys have seen me do this plenty of times, and I've actually done it with a piece of Purple Heart before in the past. But again, project goes smooth after this. Not a whole bunch of issues, just trying to get everything into the nice shape that I want it. And then we'll start my favorite part, which is sanding. After I clean up this ginormous mess, as you can see here, that's just one blank. But after you get everything cleaned up, it goes pretty smooth from there. So once we get all this cleaned up, then we're gonna go from 80 to 120 to 180. I think I said 80. 80, 120, 180. Sorry, I'm not good with numbers, but here we are, just sanding everything down. And this is really gonna make, you know, the bowl itself look really awesome. Is just how much time you spend on the sanding. But I didn't put any Yorkshire grit on it, just normal wood wax I think would work just as fine. And it did. You can see the shine coming out, and that looks really cool. Really good looking piece. So even though this is pretty much our last blank for a while, I'm pretty sure I'll make, you know, more blanks like this in the future. But gonna start making a lot more tables, trying to go pro being a table maker. So I'm gonna keep on working on that, but I'm still gonna do some, you know, just regular lathe projects as well. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you got something out of it. Hope you guys are staying out of the heat regardless of where you're at, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.